Hey, this is Mrs. Davis. This is AP Pre-Calculus, Lesson 1.12, Transformations of Functions. This is the second video. So we've done a lot of transformations graphically, some easier ones, and now let's do some algebraically. And really, it's nothing challenging. So the first one says given f of x is x squared minus 3x plus 2, let g of x be that function plus 4, so find g of x. So guys, this is not rocket scientists. So, oops, I'm doing g of x, that would help. So g of x would be just f of x, which is x squared minus 3x plus 2, and then add the 4. And so you can combine those to be x squared minus 3x plus 6. So let's look at this example. We have x squared minus 3x plus 2, but this time they want us to do f of x plus 4. And that means everywhere there's an x, you do x plus 4. You stick an x plus 4 there and an x plus 4 there. So g of x would be f of x plus 4, so that would be x plus 4 squared, that's the first term, minus 3x plus 4, that's the second term, and then plus 2. And now we have to multiply all this out and add it together to do it correctly. So g of x would be x squared plus 8x plus 16 minus 3x minus 12 plus 2, which gives you, let's simplify that, x squared plus 5x and plus, we have 16 minus 12 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So g of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 6. So that's how you would do it algebraically. Now, that was algebraically. Now numerically, if you're given a table, and this is even easier, you just put the 2 in where there's an x if it asks for g of 2. So if we have g of x is f of x plus 2, and now these are f of x values, so we would say that g of 2 is equal to f of 2 plus 2. And f of 2 is down here. That is equal to 10 plus 2, which is 12. So g of 2 equals 12. Same thing down here. We would put the 4 in where the x is. So g of 4 would be f of 4 minus 2 plus 1. So g of 4 is f of 2 plus 1. And f of 2 is 0, so 0 plus 1 is 1. So g of 4 is equal to 1. Now another thing it might ask you about is the domain and the range given some sort of transformations. So if you look at example 6, we have a function that originally had a domain of negative 4, 3, and it had a range inclusive, negative 4 and 3 inclusive, and then a range of 3, 9, not including 3 and 9. And then they say, okay, here's a new function, g of x, which has some transformations going on, which means if, like I had to say this would be translated. It's plus 5, so left 5, reflected over the x-axis, and then up to, translated up to. All right, now what you have to do is you're going to use these numbers and do the transformations on them, but you have to realize whether you're talking about something that is affecting the x, which would be the domain, or something that's affecting the y. So let's write that. The x changes the domain, and y changes the range. Okay, so let's think of these transformations. If I start at the original domain, I had -4, 3. Now, the first thing that I said is it was translated left 5, which would affect the x. So the x value would be moved left 5, which is like subtracting 5. So if I translate left 5, my new domain is -9, and then 3 minus 5 is -2, inclusive. All right, so this is the domain. Now let's make sure no other changes are made. The reflection over the x-axis, that affects y. X, like if you have your x value, here's a little graph. If I have a point here, 2, 1, and then I reflect it, I'm still at 2, but now I'm at -1. So it affects the y. A reflection over the x-axis reflects the y, and a vertical translation affects the y also. So let's walk through. Our range started at 3, 9, and then we had to reflect it over the x-axis, and so that means that it would be, so let's write down what we did. Reflection over the x-axis, the range would become -3, -9. Now this isn't a point. This is the range in interval notation. Okay, and then what happens is it's moved up to, it's translated, use the right word, translated up to. So that would be adding 2 to each of these. So -3 plus 2 is -1, and -9 plus 2 is -7. So our new range, after all those transformations, is -1. Now, oh, okay, wait. Is this in the right order? So we kind of have to clean this up. So let's undo my arrows and put it in the right order. It's an interval, right? So the lowest interval always is on the left. So -7 to -1. So there's your new range. All right, I don't know why I had an S. -7, -1. All right. Let's see, I'll stop that video here because we're going to start on some dilations now, and I'll start on the next video.